Video game graphics can age like milk.
Parker!
Unless you're one of these games. A lot of titles from the early 2000s look like potato sculptures.
What?
But some really emit style. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanks, 10 games that still look insane and timeless. Starting off with, I think, a perfect encapsulation of this type of thing. Number 10 is Half-Life 2. Released more than 20 years ago now, 2 decades. Half-Life 2 is still a technological marvel that holds up. It's not going to trick anybody into thinking it came out yesterday, but for a game as old as this one, and doing the things that it's doing, it looks good. Especially if you're focusing on environmental design. So much credit has to be given to Viktor Antonov, the visual designer responsible for making Half-Life 2 look so distinct. He basically invented the entire visual language for this game, which combines elements of decaying Eastern European architecture with brutalist slabs of indecipherable technology.
Reasoning impulses. And today we clearly see its true nature. Instinct has just become aware of its irrelevance. And like a cornered beast,
it's a look that defines Half-Life 2, but this guy, he went on to some seriously iconic games. Dishonored, Wolfenstein The New Order, and the 2017 Prey. All games with iconic aesthetics. His art was incredible, but also a lot of credit needs to go to the actual 3D design team for translating that concept art and making it work in-game. Half-Life 2 is both a technical and artistic marvel that expertly comes together, making a game that's both tonally unique in style and, again, instantly iconic back when it came out. Other technological innovations are just as important as the art design, like the game's revolutionary facial animation technology, which obviously doesn't hold up as well as everything else in the game, but it was an important stepping stone between where we were before and where we are now in terms of human faces in video games. And depending on your perspective, it holds up. It's just not, from a technical perspective, it does not hold up technically speaking. But when I'm playing Half-Life, I'm not like, oh man, the facial animation, it's so bad. No, I'm playing Half-Life 2, It's part of it. It's part of the aesthetic, it's part of the style. You can't expect everything to hold up technically speaking, especially something this old or older. Still, so much about it looks incredible today, and it's largely in part thanks to timeless art direction. While I've got you on the hook here, I do want to say that surprisingly few people, compared to the number of people that watch our videos, are actually subscribed. So we've got to ask, please do click the subscribe button. I don't want to take up a bunch of your time. It helps us out a lot. Hopefully it helps you see some things you like. And without any more ado, we'll get back to the video. And number 9 is Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. This game came out in 2001. Let me repeat that. This game, the one you're looking at right now, came out in 2001, the same year as Grand Theft Auto 3, the first Red Faction, the original Halo. Great games for sure, but look at this. This is heads and shoulders above just about everything else coming out at the time, and not just on consoles either. Even PC games paled in comparison to this game that was running on hypothetically much weaker hardware. This was a launch title for the GameCube, a system that was a bit more powerful than the PlayStation 2, but weaker than the Xbox, and it looks like this. What's remarkable here is that this game isn't going for a stylized look, like a lot of other games on this list. Like a lot of what makes a game hold up is often that it's going for something stylistically. But this is not. I mean, other than the Star Wars aesthetic, but that is kind of a grimy and dirty realism in a lot of cases. The game's developer, Factor 5, was clearly performing some kind of dark magic to get this game to look as good as it does, while also running very well. Like, the frame rate's a big seller in Rogue Leader's Illusion. It's so silky and smooth. The motion looks great and feels incredible to control. The original GameCube's resolution is the only thing that held this game back, and the low-resolution textures, of course, but the crisp shadows and dead-accurate spaceship recreations really make this game hold up well. At number 8 is SimCity 4, the last real SimCity. The 2013 abomination doesn't count. I don't know, but somehow this is still inexplicably one of the most beautiful PC games ever made. And it's thanks to the game's incredibly intricate mix of 3D and sprite-based artwork. The early 2000s was Maxis firing on all cylinders. Between this and the early revolutionary days of The Sims, the studio is pushing game design forward in ways that really haven't been matched. The Sims is very clearly a game of its era. SimCity 4's visuals are a lot more timeless, though. When you're not looking at stuff directly ported from The Sims, anyway, the stuff that holds up best, and the stuff you're seeing for the vast majority of the experience, is the exceptionally detailed city artwork, of course. It's some of the best sprite work I've ever seen, and it really holds up well to this day. The game itself also holds up. It's by far the most challenging and complex of the SimCity games, and that makes it the one that's the most engaging to actually play. If you're just looking for a chill time building cities, this is not the SimCity game to play because it can be pretty relentless. It's very easy for your city to fall into the red without constant supervision and careful planning. Of course, you can always play the game in God mode, and that's what a lot of people do to this day. SimCity 4 has a small but active community of people creating jaw-droppingly realistic cityscapes just for their own amusement. Some of these are just remarkably good looking and incredibly detailed. It's incredible stuff like this is still getting made for a game that was essentially unplayable on PC for years at a time. You can get it now and it runs with some fixes, but for years, this thing was a massive chore to get this to work. And even now, it's not the most stable game out there. Still, all-time great, and just one more reminder that somehow SimCity needs to come back. And number 7 is The Mirror's Edge. It's a game that's only 17 years old, not the full 20, but even with that advantage, the game still far exceeds expectations. Most games that came out that year, it just thrashes. Not the cutscenes, of course. They look like progressive commercials. They were cheap looking even then, but everything else about Mirror's Edge holds up extremely well. The way the game mixes high quality, at the time at least, textures with stark, realistic lighting and modern architectural design in this very overly white city, it is shockingly effective, and in many ways the game looks better, and at many times more realistic, even though the setting is not necessarily realistic, than modern games. It looks better than the sequel, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. The technology isn't as powerful, but the art design is just that good. What makes Mirror's Edge work so well is how it combines elements of recognizable reality with these exaggerated, stylized elements. It allows the game to feel futuristic, but recognizable at the same time. It's not like super saturated hallways bathed in red are a normal occurrence in real life, but the way the fluorescent light just washes through the scene and the way concrete textures of walls shine just ever so slightly or hints of black scuff marks on the floor and doors. This stuff all it feels really real in a way that you don't often see in games. Video games tend to go overboard and make things overly cluttered because an empty thing is often a criticism. But Mirror's Edge's stark industrial designs feel more recognizably real. It's a design language you rarely see in games and one that's never been used as effectively as in Mirror's Edge. At number 6 is Tron 2.0. Before Tron, Ares killed the franchise and Tron Legacy flopped at the box office, but became a cult hit, there was 2003's Tron 2.0 from Monolith Productions. Depending on who you ask, this is the real sequel to the original Tron, not just because of the story, but because the game's cutting-edge visuals looked fantastic back then and still hold up remarkably well even now. The game takes the basic premise of the original Tron, where it's set in this neon-coated cyberspace inside the computer world, but pushes the aesthetic even harder to create one of the most distinct looking games ever. It's retro in two ways. First, to the 80s original, and then to the early 2000s ideas of what a computer world would be like. But the whole thing is a lot more credible, as it was created by actual game designers who actually know something about programming. It's fun, it's a unique game, but the visuals are the part we're looking at today, and it's kind of mind-blowing how good this game looks even now. The retro wave look seems inexplicably timeless, so it's the sort of style we see all over the place now, 20 years past. I mean, we should not be still thinking that 80s nostalgia looks timeless, but it does. And this game pulls it off better than almost anything else. The bold colors and harsh, clean lines could make a world that looks barren and empty, but they put so much detail into every location to explore, it just holds up better than it has any right to. So many other games have attempted this sort of retro Atari style, but in 3D, but none of them come close to Tron 2.0's transcendent art design.
Mathria, what did you do?
So you are a user. Fascinating.
And number 5 is Sonic Unleashed. While reviews back in 2008 were mixed, the one part of the game everyone praised was the daytime stages, which were an absolute technical marvel at the time and still some of the best, fastest, and most impressive Sonic stages ever made, at least 3D ones. There's just nothing else quite like them, and while other parts of the game can be kind of a drag depending on your perspective, I look back fondly on the Werehog. Not everyone does. In fact, I would argue maybe most people don't, but whatever. The good parts of this game are so good, they're retroactively improved the game's reputation. Opinions these days about Sonic Unleashed are really positive, actually, simply because the daytime stages were so incredibly good. And they were not just well-designed stages, they were also extremely impressive visually. No other game in the series has managed to capture the sensation of speed like Unleashed has. Each stage can be completed in only a few minutes, but the size and scope of them is huge. The common prevailed rumor at the time was that a single stage in Sonic Unleashed was as big or bigger than the entire map of Skyrim. It's also why these levels were so prohibitively difficult to make, and why developers felt the need to pad the game's length with the Werehog stages, where you explicitly cannot go fast. Modern 3D Sonic games have found better compromises than just forcing us to play through the overly long, tedious levels, depending on one's perspective. But the one thing they haven't been able to do is make levels that are as stunning as the ones in Sonic Unleashed. And number 4 is Street Fighter III Third Strike from 1999. This game may have, no exaggeration, the all-time best pixel art ever made. Specifically, the character animations, which are so incredibly detailed and expressive that they have not been topped. The original Street Fighter III came out in 1997, a few years after 2, and this is how far they were able to evolve that art style in just a few short years. To this day, the game is remarkable in terms of achievement from animators at the very top of their game, combining traditional animation methods with rotoscoping to make some really astounding character animation. Like, look at Elena's idle animation. So much work was put into something most players would rarely ever see in a match. There are little things that add so much character that would otherwise be unnecessary, like Dudley's little Muhammad Ali shuffle. The game, I mean, it's full of this kind of character-oriented animation. It's incredibly good and gives a lot of personality. It just blows everything else away. Games like this show that a good-looking game isn't just a technical thing, though it is important, as it's what allows Street Fighter III to have so many more frames of animation back when it came out. But the essential sauce that makes this game look good is the artwork and the animations and the extremely talented people who were able to make it happen. The animations in this game are just mesmerizing. Like Motoko's slow walk cycle. There's so little that a walk cycle actually is, but this tells us so much about her character. The animation communicates this is a slow powerhouse, and very few games operate on this level, especially back in this era with pixel art. Like, arguably, even the new Street Fighter doesn't look this good, and that game has incredible animation work. And number 3 is Ninja Gaiden Black. All the OG 3D action games, the early 2000s, out of them, Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox probably holds up the best, and not just because it got an upscaled upgrade for the Xbox One, but because it simply was operating at a higher level than other things at the time. Whatever Team Ninja was doing, it was black magic. Between this game and the Dead or Alive franchise, they were really doing cutting-edge stuff. Not all of it holds up best, but Ninja Gaiden in particular still looks extremely good for a game of its time, and weirdly enough at times holds up to more modern action games. It helps these games tend to go for an exaggerated look with anime-inspired characters and relatively sparse environments. It's not going to compare to something like DMC5, few things do, but compared to the modern Platinum Games output or the action games of that type, this 20-year-old game still holds up surprisingly well, especially in motion. Part of what makes this game so timeless is just the silky smooth frame rate and the lightning-fast gameplay that's similar to but different from other action games, which don't emphasize movement quite as much. That free-flowing movement and the incredibly quick but lethal gameplay is what makes the Xbox original hold up graphically and in terms of gameplay in ways other games just don't, including other Ninja Gaiden games. And number 2 is Okami. This 2006 PlayStation 2 action game looked fantastic back when it came out, still looks extremely good now. It's a game with a timeless art style inspired by traditional Japanese ink drawings, and Clover, old Kamiya, led this one, but it flopped. At least at release. It became a cult classic, though, because its unique concept and very striking art style. It really does look like an ink drawing game come to life at times, with the parchment paper texture overlay and the thick outlines and the brush-like highlights and the characters and the background elements. What's impressive is how this game incorporates that visual style into the gameplay. You use a celestial brush to literally manipulate the environment, and it still feels kind of like magic, even now when you look at it. What's amazing is how it can be done in literally any time from any angle. It's a mechanic you'd think more games would borrow because it's so interesting and innovative. On top of that, looks impressive, but really nobody else has actually attempted. I mean, I guess there are others, but Okami certainly does it best, and there's not a lot of others. It's a game that already looked really good, and when they remastered it, basically all they had to do was bump up the game resolution and call it a day. It was a fantastic looking game back in 2006, and it's just as remarkable now. And finally, at number 1, the Resident Evil 1 remake. One of the oldest, but also mind-bogglingly good-looking games. It was released in 2002, just 6 years after the original game, but it's more than a generational leap in graphics. It's inexplicable just how good this looks in comparison to the original game. It relies on 3D characters running around pre-rendered backgrounds still, but the difference on display is absolutely uncanny. Like, look at it. The environmental design in particular is incredibly moody. The 3D characters look significantly better, and maybe they don't necessarily hold up to modern scrutiny compared to like the other Resident Evil games, particularly the other remakes recently. But other survival horror series would kill to have visuals like this in 2025. There's really nothing that looked this good back in 2002. Hell, nothing came close for over a decade. It was really in a league of its own, and once again, it was a GameCube exclusive for years and years. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, of course. They're not pushing the most polygons, or certainly doesn't have the most massive mansion possible, but it does have a lot of impressive detail and seamless blending of pre-rendered and 3D that just it's uncommon even now when people do that anyway.
Barry!
What is it?
Look out! It's a monster!
Let me take care of it! What the hell is this thing?
I found Kenneth killed by this thing. Let's report this to Wesker.
I do have some bonus games for you. Fear first. This one came out in 2005. We talk about it all the time, but it bears repeating. This one holds up really well. The character models show their age, but the slow-mo effects sound, it's all really satisfying. What makes Fear's shootouts so effective is how much you can destroy the environment you're in. You can shoot out chunks of walls, they disintegrate into a cloud of dust, destroy everything on the shelves, send debris flying. The light fixtures go nuts, flop around, and cast light all over. It's really reactive, and it's sadly much more reactive than what you see today. Another one, Silent Hill 3. We have talked about Silent Hill 3, which came out in 2003. It really held up incredibly well, though. There's not much reason to repeat it again, but I think we kind of have to. This is a PlayStation 2 game that came out in 2003. It was punching so far above its weight, had the best in-game character models. Look at this. There are a lot of games from the following generation that don't look this good. Next, of course, is Crysis, the technical marvel from 2007 that everybody tested their new PCs on. It used so many revolutionary graphics technology. It was so far ahead of the curve. It took a long time for other games to catch up. It came out 2 years into the Xbox 360's lifespan, and it was considered an impossible port. When they did finally get it running on consoles, it was a highly compromised version of the game. It was not until PlayStation 4/Xbox One that systems were strong enough to actually run the thing, but it was amazing looking, especially when you focus on the big picture over the little details. The size and scope of the maps all were incredible, and the simulation aspects, like I could actually destroy buildings and cause trees to shake and fall apart from bullet fire. It's a tactile level of interactivity that, again, is sadly something you do not see today. Other parts of Crysis are a lot more dated, but it manages to impress all these years and many leaps in graphics technology later. And that's all I've got for you today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. Become a member of the One Peak Club and listen to The Falcon Show. We'll see you next time right here on Game Race.